Salute to all the real ones out there. It's your boy Mike coming at you again with another video. If you like the direction that my channel was headed in and you find the information to be useful, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Alright, so today's topic is going to be a little bit about my opinion on interracial relationships. Now, for any of you guys who know me, who've been watching my channel for a little bit, you'll know that like my situation is I'm an American, but I've been living in Germany ever since 2011, and my wife is actually Turkish. So I'm speaking from that point of view, and I'm also kind of maybe biased because that's been my situation. So I'm just giving my point of view on interracial relationships as they affected me. Okay, so it's pretty much like this. I can break it down in many ways, and I'm not gonna like list pros and cons. I'm more just gonna go off of my observations. So when you think about, like, if you were to let's say it's me. Let's say I was to date a black woman or a woman of African descent, or either way, we share about the same skin color. We coming from the same ethnic background. The reason why it would work for the most part, or it would be ideal, is because that person has the same struggles as me. Like, I'm not going at this whole race thing alone. She comes from the same background as me. She can understand where I'm coming from when I talk about racism or anything that's affecting our community, right? Not to mention that, but when I have a child, that child will have the features and resemble my mother and my father, which of course I think any parent naturally wants. Like when you have a kid, I'm not a kid father yet, but I can just imagine when I have a kid, like, I'm gonna somewhat hope that my son or daughter picks a woman where I can relate to that woman or man based on their appearance. So you kind of want your grandchild to resemble you somewhat, right? If you're a black person, you want your child to pick a black partner. If you a white Australian, you might not be so hype about the idea of your daughter marrying a Chinese dude. You know what I mean? It's just natural that humans kind of want something that they're similar to. Then you also have understanding. If I was in the case where I was with, let's say, a black American female, the issue is, like, we're going to understand each other and have a way stronger bond off rip, just for the simple fact that both of us are being oppressed in a system that is systematically designed to destroy us. So when I come home after a hard day's work, or if I just seen a police shooting where another one of our unarmed brothers and sisters just got killed for no reason, I can express my anger without feeling like I'm an extremist, without feeling like I gotta argue my point back. She's going to naturally understand that we have trauma and years of pain and turmoil that have plagued us as a race in that racist system. So, like, there's a lot of unspoken understanding that naturally exists when you're dealing with, let's say, someone of the same cultural background. In this case, me dealing with a black American female. All right. Then you have the depth of the love. Now, this isn't to say that, like, my current relationship doesn't have a depth of love, but what I'm saying is it kind of goes in what I was just talking about that hidden understanding or that unspoken understanding. You got to think we look alike. She understands that my hair texture. She probably, let's say, if I have a daughter, she could sit there and feel comfortable to sit my daughter down and braid her hair, just like my cousins and my aunts used to do to their children. You know what I mean? I can bring her to the family barbecue, and there's probably going to be a lot of conversations that naturally just take place because they speak the same language, they're coming from the same background. So my family and her can easily plug up together and exchange ideas, and there's a comfort level that exists when you see that the other person looks like you, right? So that's another thing. And then if you have a child, for example, you don't have to worry about your child identifying as anything but black, because his or her parents will, my kid in that case would look like me or the mom, who are both black, who both are in this system, who both understand what's up. So there's going to be like a natural connection that all of us have without a whole bunch of explaining needing to happen about, hey, well, your mom is this and I'm this. So the world is going to see you regardless as me. It's going to see you as black regardless if you're mixed or not. But you don't need that explanation when your kid is black. It naturally knows that. And it naturally sees that from the dynamic of his mom and his dad being both the same race. You don't have to worry about like a loss of melanin. Now the thing is, I'm already light skinned, so if I was with a black girl, let's say chocolate, mocha, whatever, I'm not. It doesn't really matter about the color of her skin, but I'm saying her hair texture is gonna be like mine. She's gonna have some of the same features and genetic traits that a black person has. You know what I mean? And then you also have like this loss of identity that would happen if you're like in an interracial relationship. Just for the simple fact, like let's say me and my wife, I have a Turkish wife. We have a kid. The kid is half Turkish, half, let's say, Black American, but on a superficial level. Of course, it goes deeper than that when you look at the genealogy and we do research on our DNA and all this other bullshit. But I'm just saying on a basic level, the kid will identify with whatever culture is around it the most that makes it feel most comfortable. So like let's say we're in, I don't know, Germany. Is it really going to benefit my child to scream that he's Black American, or is it going to identify as Turkish? Or will it have confusion on either side? You know what I mean? We're around constantly the Turkish side, then he'll feel comfortable to communicate, learn this, that, or a third. But maybe when we get around black people, it feels uncomfortable and insecure because the child doesn't identify with the people that are around it. So you're gonna have identity issues, maybe regardless of what the race the kid is. But I'm just saying more so if you are in an interracial relationship. There's gonna be a lot of things that you guys maybe haven't even factored in that you're gonna have to tackle together as parents. And I feel like that might be overlooked when someone considers being with a race that is not their own. Now on the other side, you'll have like a bigger learning curve because since I'm American and I think a certain way, I have certain, let's say, views and ideals. There's a high chance that my wife doesn't have the same views and ideals. She grew up in a whole nother culture, a whole nother country. So we will have to create some type of happy medium whereby we can coexist. And if you think about the kid, then you have to think about the fact that like that child will be able to learn a lot more because it has 2 points of reference to go off of. It wouldn't just be me and the mom and we both grew up in maybe just different states within the United States. It would be I grew up here, she's from Turkey, but then grew up in Germany. So that's 3 points of reference that the child has immediately. Not to mention multiple languages that the child will be able to speak. Just for the simple fact that English is my native language, Turkish is her native language, but then we're in Germany and that's the medium of language that we're going to use in order to handle business within that country. So the child is automatically trilingual, which is an awesome aspect because that will only help him or her when it's time to be independent and move about in this world. So you also have a fusion of cultures. You take 2 different people from 2 totally different backgrounds and then mix them together and then they happen to make it work. The benefit will be that there will be a fusion of those ideologies, a fusion of maybe how this person sees how a child should be raised, how the other person sees, and then you two are coming to the middle and creating like a combination of both worlds where the kid can overall maybe flourish in such an environment because you can adapt based on the circumstance way more than if it's 2 of you on the same page about every single thing and y'all don't know anything else. Then the outside world is going to come in and you might be less tolerant of those views or more strict on how you expect your child to act and behave. But in an interracial relationship, there's going to be a chance that that child is automatically coming into a more well-rounded uh, environment. Then you have novel experiences. All right, well, take my wife for example. A few times we've been to vacation and we went straight to Turkey, and we had an awesome time there, and it opened my eyes to how beautiful of a country Turkey really is. But if you would have put me in a situation where I would not be with, let's say, her, who's to say that I would ever even come in my own brain to the like arrive at the thought that Turkey would be a good place to go on vacation? I knew nothing about it at all. You know, the only thing I knew is that it was bordering Iraq. It's a neighboring country to Iraq, where I've been, but not on vacation. That was 2 damn combat deployments. So that's another thing to consider, right? Then you have a appreciation for the differences that maybe your same culture or same race would not be so appreciative of. So, case in point, normal. Don't quote me on this. I'm just saying from what I've seen, the dynamic between, let's say, men and women is much different in the Turkish culture. It's kind of like the man. It's like more traditional gender roles. So the man is expected to do certain things. The woman is expected to fulfill her role. And then anything where there is a clash, the man is usually about to instruct the woman on how to act, behave, and run the household. Now, in my case, I come from America, which is very broken. The traditional roles have been totally thrown in the sewer due to feminism. So there is this attitude that women are, not only equal to, but also superior to men, and that there's toxic masculinity, this, that, and the third. I grew up in a single parent household where I had to honestly learn how to be a man on my own. So by being with a woman who has, let's say, her traditional gender role in place, but also grew up in Germany, which is highly exposed to feminism, it's an interesting dynamic that happens between us because we basically create a culture of our own. So I'm not like the maybe traditional guy that would just come in the house and expect that my wife does everything, because that's not the world we live in these days. My wife is working. She owns her own business. I'm over here working. I'm doing my thing. So it's more of a team effort where I come home, my wife's cooking dinner, then I'm like, all right, well, shit, let me set the table. Let me clean up real quick. Let me take out this trash. We're working hand in hand. Or vice versa. I'm cooking, then she does the same thing. Or like I'm no stranger to running the vacuum cleaner and getting my place straight because I'm very clean and I'm very organized, and all that shit came from the fact that I'm the oldest child. I had a lot of responsibilities ever since I was young. It's also part of my personality. I have like OCD on the sneak. And then I was also in the military. So all of those things come together to make a really nice fusion with the woman that I'm with, because she's coming from a culture where the man typically doesn't get up and do dishes, typically doesn't go in there and actually know how to cook or do anything that a woman typically would do. But I'm over here bringing the masculine, plus I can do, let's say, the traditional feminine things. And then my wife is the one who, she has her feminine traits, but she also has no problem doing some of the things that a man would typically do. And that's not saying that she's like a masculine ass female. I'm just saying she's very independent. She knows how to handle her own affairs. She doesn't come running to me or her dad or whoever man in her life every time she has an issue. And that makes it easier for me to support her wholeheartedly, knowing that she can fall back into that role of being a, let's say, traditionally feminine woman, and all the other stuff I can take care of. But it's just a good feeling knowing that she's not totally dependent on me or any other man for what she needs. So it makes it easier to spoil a person like that, you know what I mean? Because they can fall back and you can actually step up, and in times where you maybe fall back, then she can step up. So it's a team effort. Another thing is you can heal past trauma. Due to the fact that I see things different and I'm coming from a different culture, when I notice things that are not in accordance with what I think is normal or okay, and she maybe has issues because her culture has that pressure on top of her to be a certain way, then I can come and basically free her of that pressure. Or for example, I had past trauma dealing with the fact that I grew up without my dad, and I always had kind of beef with my dad. But my wife was the one who helped me heal that past trauma by pushing me to establish a relationship with him. And by doing so, it dropped a huge weight off my shoulders. And now he and I talk very often, and it's like I got past that problem. Whereas if I was with, let's say, a black American female, no, I'm not saying this is guaranteed, but more than likely she would probably also have the same situation. Her dad is not in the picture and didn't really have a significant role in her life. So would she really be the one to push me to change my perspective about my dad if she didn't come from the same environment? Something to think about. And last but not least, you have an expansion of your horizons, and that's culturally, physically, everything that you would even try, from like new foods and new ideas. You just grow as a person in total, because you're dealing with so many contrasts. So those are just some things I have to say about my view on interracial dating, like as it pertains to me. And maybe you guys have some different views or opinions or some things that you could add too. Feel free to jump in my comment section and let me know, because I'm always open for dialogue. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. I'll holler back at y'all on the next one.